the Road Safety Forum held on the 1st of October 2024. The following members are present: Councillors John Anderson, Ralph Barker, Margaret Cowie, Colin Dewar. Councillor Cal Johnson Dempsey is not present. Councillors Susan Kerr and Julia Mars are present. We have apologies from Councillor Kenny McCready, and Councillors Dave McLaughlin and Norman Ray are present. Thank you, and I'll pass you back to the Chair for today's business.
Thank you very much, Chair. Any declarations of interest? No. Okay with that. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting, pages 3 to 6. I'll move that as a correct record.
And I'll second that.
Is there any questions or comments? No. Item 3, Car-Free Zones CPZ's pilot, and I'm going to ask Jonathan Plant. Jonathan, I could just introduce Jonathan. Jonathan's new to the service, so welcome. Welcome aboard the Road Safety Forum train. Jonathan, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This report is an update on car-free zones. The purpose of the report is to outline the progress to date with regards to car-free zones pilot and to advise the forum of our recommendations. Firstly, look at the paper provides a background to the pilot car-free zones. As traffic congestion, road safety are significant concerns around many of our schools. And one initiative was the implementation of car-free zones. The pilot was initiated in August 2019, and there were 3 sites agreed to be taken forward for consultation. However, following further consultation, the number of the 2 sites agreed for the pilot were Burnside Primary School and St Joseph's Primary School. And the background to that, the choice of that was presented in committee report on 17th of November 2020. Section 3.6 of the report provides background information into the 2 schools chosen in terms of the length of the car-free zone, the number of school roll, etc., and whether a school travel plan has been initiated or not. The car-free zones at the 2 schools began operation on the 19th of April 2022 on an experimental basis and are underpinned by a temporary traffic regulation order. Section 4 provides details of the consultation results. The consultation was undertaken in early 2023. Paragraph 4.2 outlines that the majority of respondents were parents, accounting for 63% of responses. The analysis of the consultation shows that there was clearly support for the car-free zone concept, with 62% of respondents agreeing or strongly agreeing with the statement that the car-free zone has introduced a safety benefit to the area. And 66% of respondents supported the car-free zone. And further details on the consultation are provided in the appendix to the report.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Is there any questions or comments from members? Margaret, you've pressed your button.
Yeah, it was just to say Burnside, that's in my ward, and I'm pleased that this is going to be permanent because it was a big problem in a very tight cul-de-sac, so I'm very pleased that this is going to be made permanent. Thanks.
I would comment likewise, but it's not in my ward at St Joseph's. It seems to have worked, and glad that that's continuing. Ralph, did you have your hand up?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I just wondered, it just mentions it's at the beginning and end of the school day. I just wondered for how long the traffic, the car-free zone is, is imposed. Is it just a few minutes or all day? Thanks.
Yeah, the restriction operates from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning and 2:30 to 3:15 in the afternoon.
Has there been, I mean, all the information's here, but has there been any feedback or comments, negative, regarding the length of time? You know, because I suppose that the half hour before and the half hour after, or in the afternoon, 15 minutes after that, gives people a chance who want to get in. Is that the purpose of that length of time? Because obviously when the school's from out to 3, you don't need to be there for, you don't need to be sitting at the school or waiting at the school for 3:30, but that's just to allow people to get access to their street. Is that the reason for that?
Yeah, that is the reason for that, and I guess each school, should the committee accept the recommendations for future schools that we could look at, you know, the actual timing will be a part of any consultation that's undertaken.
Thank you very much. Susan?
So I was just wondering, you know, listening to that report, can it be rolled out to many more schools?
Yes, I think the paragraph I'd point you to section 6.2. So it can be rolled out to other schools, and we've set out in paragraph 6.2 a number of characteristics that could apply when we look at other schools.
I've got a school in my ward, for example, Dixon Street. You wouldn't be able to do that in Dixon Street because it's quite a main route and it's a bus route and things like that. So it's only certain areas that you could actually apply it. John Anderson.
Just on 6.2, are we going to contact the parent councils or the schools and ask them if their school would qualify for this to be introduced, and then do a consultation at these schools? And also, will it be rolled out to high schools, or is it just going to be primary schools?
Stuart.
Thanks, Chair. What we did previously, and it tended to work quite well, we did engage with the school community itself, and we engaged with residents of the area. We undertook a consultation event that was very well attended by residents and parents of the school, and also staff members of the school as well. And that initiated obviously the conversation about a potential project itself. The majority of the schools that would be considered would be within a sort of cul-de-sac type environment. I think from memory most of the secondary schools are probably don't fall into that category itself. So our main focus would initially be on the primary school sites as well.
Okay for you, John? John's got his button.
Thanks. I'm just concerned about the high schools. Although they might not be cul-de-sacs, there is major problems in some of these streets, because given the size of the schools and the distance that people are coming, and the fact that you're taking away the free bus service for some, this is only going to get worse. There's going to be a lot more traffic at these high schools. And whilst it might not be a cul-de-sac, I mean, there's certainly 2 in East Kilbride, if not 3, are ram-jammed full and very dangerous. People can't get in or out, and I think we should actually look at that as well. Thanks.
John, it's, the point you make is a very valid point, and it's not something that's new to us. It happens not only in every school that we have, but it happens up and down the whole country. There's a difficulty about trying to make a car-free zone, as has been explained earlier. It's down to the responsible drivers or not. I mean, at the end of the day, if people park their cars or congest a street where they shouldn't, that's really a matter for the enforcement. Now, sometimes the parking attendants can deal with that. Sometimes it's a police matter, because it could be obstruction. And I have, in a school near to me where I live, there has been charges brought for assault for people blocking driveways. It's an inherent problem, and I can't really see for, and I'll let, I see Colin wants to come back in, and I can't really see that a car-free zone is going to solve all of the problems everywhere. It's not going to work. However, yeah, you're right, it is a problem. You're entitled to raise it. And I'll ask Colin. Colin, would you like to address that?
Thanks, Chair. You've kind of covered some of the main points there. I think, sadly, parking and congestion in and around primary and secondary schools has been there for a long time. We've got a whole range of tools in our toolbox, if I can call it that, for us to tackling that, whether it be school travel plans, Park Smart campaigns, junior road safety officers as well. So this is another one that we're just adding to that toolbox. As Councillor McLachlan said there, it might not be suitable for every site. If there was a location that was suitable at secondaries, we would certainly consider it, should that be a problem. There's obviously a lot of discussion ongoing about the school transport. There'll be monitoring undertaken. We'll understand what's happening there in the coming weeks and months. But I just see this as a success story. It won't solve all of the problems at schools. And as Councillor McLachlan has said, the vast majority of problems are caused by, in short, the behaviour of parents and carers taking children to and from school. There's not much more we can do other than to try and provide the right tools, the right signing, the right encouragement, the right direction, try and encourage the children to encourage their parents and carers to part safely. And I think this is just that other tool I'd like to add to that toolbox. Thank you.
I'm going to mention something. I think I've mentioned it before. I attended the, I'll not say what school it is in case the person's listening in. I attended a parent council meeting, and the subject came up about indiscriminate parking. And somebody mentioned a particular brand of vehicle. It seems to sit at a really dangerous point. And the chairperson of the parent council meeting put their hand over their keys and pulled them back towards them with a silly wee smile on their face. So it was quite obvious who the culprit was, but that culprit happened to be the chair of the parent council as well. So the point about trying to educate parents and trying to get people to do the right thing is sometimes a bit of a lost cause, because some people just wouldn't walk the length of themselves. They'd reverse their cars into the classroom if they couldn't open the door and let wee Joe into his desk. So initiatives that we bring forward can help some way, but there's never going to be a real answer unless parents, carers do the responsible thing and don't block the roads where they're doing it currently. Julia Mars.
Thank you, Chair. Following on from your point, first of all, I would say I very much welcome these proposals becoming permanent. Are you having difficulty hearing?
I can't. It's quite dull, isn't it?
Is it okay to continue?
Yes, please. Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you. It's just a
yes.
little bit quieter. Please do.
That's fine. I'll speak up.
I can hear you very clear now.
First of all, yes. First of all, I would absolutely welcome these proposals becoming permanent. I think that safety around our schools is paramount, and I would agree with you that behaviour of members of the public is an important factor in this. And I think that's the point that I would raise. According to 5.7, that enforcement is a very important part of this. That no policy can really have an expectation of a good outcome without enforcement. And it does note in the paper that relies with Police Scotland. But given this will be a TRO when these become permanent, what will that look like? Will it be permanently lined so that people understand where the car-free zone is? And if there's a TRO in that way, would the enforcement not lie with parking attendants and the council rather than Police Scotland?
I see Stuart's got his hand up to address that, but well, there's a temporary TRO in place at these schools, and that does carry the same enforcement as a full-time TRO. But it depends what the type of I'm answering Stuart's question. I'm answering the question here for Stuart, but it depends where the vehicle's parked. If it's parked on a yellow line or a restricted area, yes, that's a matter for the parking attendants. But if you're blocking driveways or causing some danger, then that's really down to the police. So it's a kind of shared role. But Stuart, if you'd like to elaborate, please.
Yeah, very simply, Councillor, the existing signs that are in place for the permanent, for the temporary traffic regulation order, those signs will stay in place when the permanent traffic regulation order is in place. It is a moving offence, therefore it's Police Scotland that undertake the enforcement of that. And we do liaise with police as part of the consultation process that we go through, and they've supported the principle of the car-free zones, and they've engaged with the local community as well, through the process that we've been through already, and that will continue as well.
Julia, does that answer your question? If you wanted to come back to it, you're welcome.
Yes, I think it does, Chair. Yes, I just have some concern about the ability to actively deal with issues as they occur, and you know, the fact that people are not there for a very long time, but they shouldn't be there at all. So yes, I can understand the difficulty in managing that.
Stuart, can I just get a follow-up there? It's a good question, Julia. Where it's a moving offence, you said, do you mean then, like, if you're driving, say for example, you drive through a no entry sign, or you're breaking some other road traffic offence by driving through a car-free zone, you're committing an offence by doing so, and that's a right, okay. Stuart?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. The council only have powers if there's a series of yellow lines in place, for example, then the council would come in and undertake enforcement under that. And members will be aware of the potential for pavement parking, etc., that may be coming in place, subject to the council approval for that, which again gives the power to local authorities to undertake that type of enforcement. But as you correctly said, vehicles travelling up a one-way street or going against a prohibitory sign, then please undertake that enforcement.
Thanks very much, Stuart. I don't have any other questions or comments. Ralph?
Thanks for letting me back in. The school bus distance changes has been mentioned. I'm not aware of any plans to change the distance for primary schools, and this seems to be mainly aimed at primary schools. I mean, perhaps government could change their guidelines for school bus transport. But what it seems here, in these cases, there seems to have been good consultation. There are obviously many school locations where it will be very difficult to implement this. I mean, I just presume there'll always be this level of consultation first, which seems to have worked well. Thanks.
Thanks, Ralph. Stuart, would that be the... I take it if you were going to introduce it somewhere else, that would be the same then, just to respond to Ralph.
Yes, we would. The success of this relies on the school and the residents, both supporting the initiative. If they don't support it, then I can see that leading to problems in the future. But certainly the two schools that we've taken forward, the local residents can see the benefit of it, as well as the school community itself. And that consultation as part of the process. We would have that initial consultation, and then there would be the consultation as part of the traffic regulation order promotion as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll move the recommendations.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is number 4, Education, Training and Publicity Initiatives, and I'm going to ask Colin Smith to take us through this report. Colin?
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to advise the Forum of the ongoing education, training and publicity initiatives throughout South Lanarkshire. A number of items are set out within section 3 of the report. The first one being the Junior Road Safety Officer scheme, one that you'll be more than aware of, but junior road safety officers have an important role in promoting and raising road safety within their community. And all primary schools are invited to appoint 2, 3 or sometimes more junior road safety officers within their school. Last academic year, we had 116 primary schools take place, and approximately 281 junior road safety officers were appointed. To give some example of what the school does throughout an academic year, section 3.1.2 gives an illustration of Cairns Primary School in Cambuslang and some of the activity that they were involved within. Their activity was spun from their school travel plan work, which they completed in summer 2023, and one of their objectives was to encourage safe and sustainable school journeys. And you can see a number of initiatives and actions that the school undertook within this item here. The Junior Road Safety Officer scheme is continuing this academic year, 2024-25, and an open day for new officers was held on the 17th of September at Shatler Country Park, where schools and their GRSOs dropped in to collect materials, take part in a variety of events, and visit some of our partners in road safety and active travel throughout that day. This academic session, we have a number of schools registered so far. We've got 110 at the moment, and we still have a few trickling through at this moment in time. Section 3.2 highlights the Road Safety Calendar competition, which is an annual event within our calendar. So this invite is put out to all schools for them to take part in this competition with topics set, as you can see in section 3.2.2. So it just gives all primary stages an opportunity to focus on a specific road safety theme, and they do some class work to make sure they're covering that in an appropriate way. The closing date for submissions was the 20th of September, and as a traffic and transportation section, we will go through the entries that have been submitted and put it down to a top 5 in each of the group categories. That will then go to judging from the members of the Road Safety Forum and selected council officers and partners in road safety as well, to finally our winning calendar is produced and sent out to schools and selected other venues. Section 3.3 details the WOW Walk Once a Week travel tracker scheme by organisation Living Streets. South Lanarkshire have offered that out to 21 schools, and there's many benefits to that scheme, which is detailed within this section here. One of the things it does, it just incentivises active travel, and the schools compete against other schools, and there's leaderboard challenges, etc., which take place throughout the academic year, and our South Lanarkshire schools fare well within these competitions. There's lots of materials there to support schools with the WOW scheme, which is detailed within 3.3.4, and we also have the support of a Living Streets officer who has been out to schools, giving them support to get it set up, and also to maintain things ongoing and provide additional inputs such as workshops with pupil groups and ambassador training with some of the pupils as well. So we have 21 schools currently that are taking part in that WOW scheme, which continues into this academic year as well. Linked to that, there's the WOW badge competition in 3.4, which we invite all of our schools to take part in as well. Out with the Living Streets WOW initiative, section 3.5 details our own South Lanarkshire WOW scheme, which we have geared towards the primary 5 stage. Primary 5 being where pupils at a lot of the time are looking to make independent journeys to and from school. And again, that's offered out to all of our primary schools, where they can receive rewards for travelling to and from school in a sustainable way. And currently 42 schools have signed up for that at the moment. As we always try to engage all of our pupils, as well as parents in the school community, with road safety messages and active travel messages, section 3.6 details the starting school leaflet activity book, which covers the new primary 1 intake. So this covers basic road safety topics, including stop, look, listen, think, safer crossing places, in-car safety, and lots of other materials. And it's really geared around parents working with their own child with these themes as they prepare to start primary 1. And one of the main things it covers is obviously attitude and behaviour around about school and choosing sustainable school travel modes as well. So 85 schools took up the offer of resources for the starting school initiative, and that proves to be quite beneficial for our new primary 1 intakes. Section 3.7 details Living Streets National Walk to School Week, which is a week where there's a large focus nationally upon walking or sustainable travel to and from school. It's always themed differently each year, and the themes are detailed within this item here. External funding and additional funding contributions from Living Streets allowed 51 primary schools to receive a classroom pack for each classroom within their school, which was very beneficial. Their pupils had a large focus upon walking and cycling and wheeling to school throughout that week there. In addition, we supported schools with additional materials for road safe and active travel throughout that week as well, just to complement the Walk to School week which was taking place. Section 3.8 details Sustrans Big Walk and Wheel Challenge. It was the 15th year of this incentive this challenge here, where schools register to take part during that week and register as many sustainable travel journeys as possible. And they do that within a bespoke website which tracks their activity as well as national activity across the full of the UK. So again, our South Lanarkshire schools fared well within that, and one of our schools, St John's Primary School in Blackwood, won the Small School Challenge. So that was a national achievement for them.
Well done.
Finally, within this report, section 3.9 details Bikeability Scotland cycle training, again within our primary schools. This is designed to give our children the skills and the confidence to cycle safely and to cycle on quiet roads as well, and to encourage them with that sustainable travel choice. We cover Bikeability Level 1 and Level 2 and support them within South Lanarkshire. And there's a table within the report which details the last 5 years of activity within our primary schools. The offer to participate is sent out to all our primary schools at the start of each academic year, and then again in January each year as well. And to prepare schools and pupils for that, we also offer in tandem instructor training courses which are free of charge for school staff, school volunteers and community volunteers that are known to the school as well. So this academic year we held a course on the 24th of September, and we've got a further one on Thursday this week as well. Every year, Cycling Scotland have a number of awards available for bikeability, and one of the awards is School of the Year. So we had nominated Lead Hills Primary School for School of the Year during the last academic year. Lead Hills had to overcome the barrier of bicycle ownership within their school. They sourced funding to purchase some adult bikes and children's bikes, and then worked within their wider school community to beg, borrow and bring in other bikes, and then worked with local organisations to bring them up to a roadworthy standard, as well as training their staff and then delivering Level 1 and Level 2 training within the school. And they won the School of the Year award as dictated by Cycling Scotland this year. So again, another good accolade for a South Lanarkshire school.
Brilliant.
So in terms of this report here, there's no current employee implications. Financial implications are set out within section 5 of the report, just detailing where the road safety revenue budget was utilised and where we had external funding. There's no significant implications in terms of climate, sustainability, environmental implications, and the forum is asked to note this report and support ongoing activity for education, training and publicity. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Is there any questions or comments? John Anderson.
Thanks, Chair. Just 3.9.3, the bikeability. Notice it's down quite a bit, 23-24 compared to 22-23. I know this year's figures aren't out yet, but is this a trend that you're seeing for 24-25, that there's fewer schools taking up this?
Hi, thanks. Nationally, there's no specific trend. It tends to be fairly sporadic between different local authorities. In terms of our own numbers, primarily I believe this is down to just staff pressures and a lot of staff absences at this moment in time within schools. Obviously, it can be quite resource intensive to take pupils out and deliver both levels of training. So we have experienced quite a lot of pressures upon the school curriculum time this year, which could account for some of that number. But again, once the full national picture is available, then we'll obviously compare our own statistics against what has happened nationally. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks, John. Ralph Barker.
Oh, thanks, Chair. If I may raise this under the items of publicity, maybe can't see this too well, but this is, I mean, it's Police Scotland about speed cameras. And it's very apologetic trying to justify speed cameras and saying that they're really there for a purpose, etc., etc. What I would like them to explain is why we can't get more speed cameras, because it's a repeated request in my ward that we must have speed cameras, and let's face it, I would bet 95% of drivers habitually break the speed limit. I mean, just observation. And the only way to stop that is enforcement. So, I mean, there are a lot of drivers that oppose speed cameras because they don't like getting caught, which is understandable. But why really can we not make it, find it easier to have speed cameras where there's an obvious need, or at least residents see it an obvious need? Thank you.
Thanks for that input there, Ralph. I mean, I don't know how relevant that is to this particular report, but it's a relevant point, and it has come to the Road Safety Forum in the past, where Safety Camera Scotland give a presentation about traffic numbers and where they think it's suitable. We're going down a wee bit of an alleyway here, but I might as well. Magnus Magnuson, I've started, so finish. The Safety Camera Scotland suggested they were going to put a camera in place in Fernigare a number of years ago. It was before COVID. And ironically, the reason, or one of the reasons, Colin will come in, I'm sure, one of the reasons was the traffic numbers, the traffic volume had increased on the road. Therefore, it resulted in a lower average speed. Therefore, it wasn't justified. There was other reasons about location suitability, but that was one of them. But it's not within our gift, and it's not within the police gift. It's Safety Camera Scotland, and I remember the presentation well. It isn't there to fine drivers, it's there as a preventative measure. When people know the cameras are there, they're more likely to drop their speed. However, that's a bit of a digression from the report that we started, so anybody care to come in? Colin?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Barker, again, thanks for your points, obviously. Kind of probably touching upon the publicity side of this. We've got obviously a number of locations across South Lanarkshire where there's been speed cameras, where there's been requests for speed cameras. We work closely with Police Scotland and the Safety Camera Partnership. They do some analysis, some intelligence gathering, they identify locations that could be considered. There's discussions with ourselves take place. So there's quite strict criteria to be achieved before they can be considered, whether that be the speed of vehicles, severity of accidents, number of accidents as well. So quite simply, where they are justified, we will look to encourage their implementation. It's where there are actually accidents occurring, particular severities, speeds, not where accidents could occur or where they might occur, or there might be a speeding problem. So if there are any particular locations, I can probably guess one in particular that you're obviously kind of in correspondence with us on. That one has been looked at down at Thankerton. That's got a mobile site, isn't it? That's a mobile speed camera site as well. So it's perhaps one of conscious kind of Police Scotland are not here today, but we can certainly take that away and have a conversation with them again as we do every year. But if there are any other particular locations, we can have a look at that for you. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, now. I've got a particular bean in my bonnet about, since I started on this, Hill House Road near the Jockstein Sports Barn. There's been a camera there for decades, and suddenly they've decided it's no longer necessary. Instead of taking the camera away, they've put a hood over the top, and it says not in action or out of order or something. I just think, why would you do that? Why would you, if it's not working, why not just leave it standing there? Because the hood's on it to say that it's not working, so people just think, all right, okay, let's go for it. That's my take on some drivers' behaviour. Stuart?
Press it again, please, Stuart.
Yeah, this is part of the decommissioning process. Rather than just taking all the kit away, they keep the kit in place, but they monitor over a significant period of time. And if there's, by the end of that process, if there's justification for it being removed, then it will be removed. But if there's justification for it to stay, then it will stay. So it's part of the process that the camera unit go through. They look at the trends before and the trends after, and then they'll make a decision based on that.
Yeah, and I get that, and it would be silly to take that equipment away only to come back to reinstall it. But the real sort of, dare I say it, the real daft idea is to put a hood over the top of it to tell everybody, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not working, I'm not going to catch you for speeding. What is the point of doing that? And I suppose there's some legalities if it's not working. Like, if you're going to have a speed camera or safety camera anywhere, you need to have signs to tell people. But then some folk would argue about that kind of defeats the purpose because you're not going to catch them. But you don't really want to catch them. You don't want anybody to be doing anything in order to catch them. You want it there as a deterrent, so that people don't speed. That's the whole point of it. We don't want people to speed and collect fines. We want people not to speed. But when you put a hood over the top of it that says out of order, apart from some strange rule that might be in place, I just don't see the sense in doing that. Colin, I see you want to come in.
Thanks, Chair. Just kind of picking up on that point, I actually think that some of the mobile speed camera sites are some of the most effective because they're signs up and you just don't know what's going to happen that day. You could be driving along there that day that the enforcement team are there. I think, that's Stuart's point I hadn't picked up on, I think the hood is getting put over, as opposed to just taking it away and then, maybe 10, 15 grand to take it away and reinstate the footway, disconnect the power. I suppose actually highlighting that it's not working is almost like reinforcing this is not there. So if driver behaviour was to change and people were to speed, or there was to be a number of accidents or increased vehicle speeds, then that would probably feed into a process to say, well, actually, if we had taken it away physically, there could have been a problem coming back. So it's possibly actually is there to actually proactively say you're not there, and if driver behaviour suddenly changes, there's an opportunity to not invest it. If that makes sense.
I suppose you could say it's like, well done everybody for behaving yourselves, so we don't no longer need the camera. But if you misbehave, right, okay,
Yeah.
There's got to be some logic behind it. But yeah, I suppose that's as good an explanation. So, Colin, I'm really sorry, but we've digressed away from the report a little bit. Is there any questions on the actual report itself? Well, congratulations to the worthy winners, at least. So thank you very much for that, Colin. Item 5 on the agenda is the Police Scotland Lanarkshire Division Road Safety Update. But I believe the LALO, the Local Authority Liaison Officer, can't attend this morning. So, like we did the last time when she couldn't attend, at the last meeting, we'll take any questions if you have any, and we'll pass them to the police and we'll get them responded to by email. John.
Yeah, I was just wondering when we'd get a update on 4.2, this digital enabled police programme that we've got here, where the figures are. I don't even know why we bother putting figures out like this when it's not accurate. So I wonder just if they've sorted out the programme issue and whether we will get proper figures. Thanks. No, it's not for this committee to ask that, well, to answer that, but if we can ask the police about that.
Sorry, John, where are you just now?
We've got an updated report, David.
Right. Right, okay, so that's the updated paper, right, sorry, beg your pardon, John.
Yeah, they sent an updated version of the report.
Okay. Like I said, no one's here to answer. If you've got a question, John, we can take that question and ask it's Lorna Hinchwood. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to get an answer to that? Yeah. Yeah. So, Stuart, can we organise that? Yeah. Thanks very much. Anyone else? No. Item 6 on the agenda is sorry, Ralph. Do you want to come in?
If it's of any help, the police did attend the Clydesdale Area Committee last week, and they did raise a peculiar thing about the mobile speed camera sites, and that the council actually reconstructed a pad for the speed camera van at a particular point where there's a lot of sensitivity about it, and they don't use it. But a mile up the road, where the speed is de-restricted, there's a lay-by, a long straight road, and the speed camera van lights going there, but not at this spot where we built a pad. Now, they did invite me to take it up with them, so the police will come back on that. But it just seems a strange point about the mobile speed enforcement of how they work it. But the police did promise to come back on that, so it's not as though they're not interested. Thanks very much.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not the police who actually man these vehicles, if that's the right terminology. It's Safety Camera Scotland, am I right, Colin? It's not actually the police.
Yeah, Chair, as in I think, again, just touched upon my earlier point, we'll certainly pick up Councillor Barker with colleagues. They may prefer a particular location for a particular reason, but they've also got an opportunity to park elsewhere as well. So it's that point about mobile speed camera sites. You just don't know what's going to be happening on that particular day. They could be parked in the lay-by you referred to, or they could be parked on the lay-by that was constructed a couple of years ago, I think it was, which is, I think, closer to the crossroads. So again, we'll pick that point up with the police. But again, it wouldn't be Lorna, who's not here today. It wouldn't be local police either. It would be Safety Camera Partnership as well. But we'll feed that back to them and see what happens. Thank you.
So it's definitely not the police. However, the police do have the handheld devices, don't they? The police use that. That's the only time the police are involved, I believe. The permanent cameras and the mobile cameras, it's not the police, it's a separate organisation. So we'll get the question to Lorna. Okay, next item on the agenda is item 6, Fire and Rescue Service South Lanarkshire Area Road Safety Update, pages 35 to 38. And I'm going to ask Paul Duncan. Paul, are you online? There we go. Hi, Paul.
Hello, how are you doing? So here is the Scottish Fire and Rescue Services update for Q1, so April, May, June of this year. In South Lanarkshire, we have attended 30 road traffic collisions, and that is an increase of 4 from a number of 26 over the same reporting period last year. That represents a 15% increase over that period. I've tried to give a breakdown across the localities for everyone to see. So Cambuslang, Rutherglen saw 4 RTCs, 2 of which were on the M74. They resulted in no injuries. Clydesdale area saw 10 RTCs, 3 of which were on the M74, and they resulted in 10 injuries. East Kilbride saw 5 RTCs, of none on the M74, is not applicable in East Kilbride's area, and that resulted in 9 injuries. Hamilton locality saw 11 RTCs, 5 of which were on the M74, and there were 4 injured parties amongst those RTCs. So a breakdown of the injuries themselves in terms of the severity of the accidents. Classified for us, injuries appear to be serious. There were 11. Injuries appear to be slight, also 11. And in one case, there was first aid given at scene. So that gives us a total of 23 non-fatal casualties, and that is an increase of 8 from the same reporting period last year, and that represents a 53% increase. I'm glad to report that for Q1 of this financial year, there were no recorded fatal casualties in RTCs in South Lanarkshire. Moving on in terms of community safety activities that we have been involved in South Lanarkshire, the Community Action Team for Scottish Fire and Rescue Service attended Lanarmers Day, where we gave road and water safety input. Quite often road and water safety input is hand in hand with the fire service. We reached approximately 100 people there. We organised a multi-agency emergency services event at Lanark Lock, where road and water safety input reached approximately 200 people. Also, I'm sure many here will know that South Lanarkshire Council provided funding for Fire Reach, also known as Fire Skills, for South Lanarkshire. It's been run for years in North Lanarkshire out of Coatbridge Fire Station. But with the funding that we've received from South Lanarkshire, we've set up a facility at Hamilton Community Fire Station, which has all the same facilities, etc., that we find in Coatbridge. And one of the things that the kids can do there is to get a car to cut up and extract a casualty from. They don't actually, the cuts are pre-made, but the kids can kind of get involved with practically removing a casualty from the car, etc. And also what they do is they have kind of virtual reality headsets that they can use, where basically what happens is the kids are in a virtual reality environment. They're put in the position of that they are in a car crash, and it's all to do with how people in the back seats and the passenger seat can distract the driver, etc. So that gives a really good input to young people how they should behave in cars. So we've run courses for Universal Connections in Rutherglen, and also for St Andrews and St Bride's High School, East Kilbride, and there's more planned for later this year for South Lanarkshire. Drive on the Left campaign, so that's a national campaign, Road Safety Scotland. So what we've done is we've leafleted the entire M74 corridor, all the service stations, and we've gone to caravan parks thereabouts in that area, and also at New Lanark we've left leaflets there as well. So the idea is that Drive on the Left campaign is obviously aimed at tourists, etc. Up north, up the Highlands of Scotland, you have seen quite a few serious RTCs involving foreign nationals just simply forgetting to drive on the wrong side, forgetting to drive on the right side of the road. So we've focused some resources along the M74 corridor there as well. We've also attended South Lanarkshire's Youth, Family and Community Learning Services Open Day at Kildare Park in Lanark. Crews delivered talks on the role of firefighters and showed operational equipment, including RTC equipment, to the attendees that were there, approximately 75 people. Just to make everyone aware, I'm sure that most here are aware of national campaigns from Road Safety Scotland. So we've got the Older Drivers campaign, we've got the 20 mile an hour campaign, they've got a pavement parking campaign, and we're aware that South Lanarkshire Council are developing a strategy to determine appropriate priorities and resources for enforcement of the new pavement parking restrictions. Lanarkshire Fire Crews will work closely with South Lanarkshire Council to discuss any issues that you may have regarding that. Also amongst the national campaigns are drug driving campaign and the seatbelts campaign. Quite disconcerting to see that 13% of those people that are killed in RTCs over the last 5 years were not wearing the seatbelt, which is quite a high and alarming amount. It's something where we can certainly focus our prevention work on. Future engagements then over quarter two. Some of these will already have taken place, but nevertheless, I'll mention them here. So we will continue to deliver road safety message via the virtual reality headsets to local high schools and young drivers and third sector groups. Members of staff are now able to focus our efforts on engaging with young drivers and those identified through partnership working to deliver road safety education. Lanarkshire, we also have across North and South Lanarkshire, the Youth Volunteer Scheme was 12 young people from across Lanarkshire, and they take part in a 3-year scheme, and road safety forms an integral part of that course. Fire Reach courses are now in place across both, as I say, North and South. So we've got approximately between 6 and 8 courses, and usually there's around about 10 young people on each course, so we'll be hitting between 60 and 80 people for our Fire Reach course. We're still involved in community payback, we call them SHIELD workshops, which is safety at home and information education through learning and development. So people on community payback for road traffic offences, they come onto the course to receive an input from us in terms of the road safety, and they also get a kind of tour of their headquarters based in Cambuslang. And it's not just a road traffic input that they get, they'll have a look at fire safety messages as well. We will continue to tie in with the National Older Drivers campaign across quarter two. We'll focus on places where elderly drivers are commonly found, for example, garden centres, golf courses, churches, bowling clubs, libraries, etc. Now, our aim is to educate older drivers as to the increased risk that they face. We're not trying to stop older drivers from driving. We're just trying to educate them as to the heightened risk and legal responsibilities in terms of renewal of licenses, age 70, and eye tests, that kind of thing. So that's what we've been involved in recently. Any questions at all?
Thank you very much, Paul. Any questions, colleagues? John Anderson.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not actually for Paul, but it's in this report, so I'll ask about it. I think back in May, Colin had said there was going to be a report coming to Community and Enterprise on parking on the pavements. I haven't seen that yet. And we also had discussed previously, I don't think it was at the same meeting, the 20 mile per hour. Because I noticed in Wales that the figures there were showing that they checked the speeds or the casualties on 20 and 30 mile an hour roads, and they're down something like 23% since it was introduced. I just wonder, I know they're reviewing theirs because they've done it, shall we say, bottom for elbow. They introduced it and now they're going to review it rather than us looking at it first. But I'm just wondering where we are with both these issues coming to a committee. Thanks.
Colin?
Thanks, Chair, and Councillor Anderson as well. The pavement parking paper, we actually hope to bring something to Community Enterprise a few weeks back. We haven't done that yet, and I do expect to see that coming between now and the end of the calendar year. There's been a lot of work done. I think it was November last year that we brought a paper to Community Enterprise, and I probably gave an update at a committee in April, May or something like that to say there was another paper coming. So there's been a fair bit of work done behind the scenes in terms of getting our back office up and running, getting some training done for our parking attendants, looking at the resources required. We do have some issues over availability of parking attendants, but we're working through that as well. So I do expect to bring a paper fairly soon, which will allow us to, I think as Stuart touched upon earlier on, it's a power that we have under the Transport Act. It's not a duty, but we do intend to do the necessary enforcement where needed for pavement parking, possibly in and around schools as well. Again, as Stuart touched upon earlier on. The 20 mile an hour initiatives, again, we obviously had quite a full debate here several forums ago. What's been pushed out now by Transport Scotland is, it's for local authorities to take that forward themselves, not the Welsh approach, which was a national campaign. So we're working through, we've done some assessment work. Again, we potentially had a paper to come to this forum today, but we're just not there yet, where we are looking at routes, areas, etc., where we'll look to bring forward some 20 mile an hour initiatives. Probably unlikely to be at the extent of what a national campaign would have looked like, but it will recognise what roads are appropriate, what roads we want to leave at 30 or 40 or national speed limit as well. But again, that will come forward probably as an initial discussion paper to this forum, and then obviously as we take it forward we'll be doing consultation as we would do with any TRO, with communities and elected members and fire and police service as well. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Colin. I don't see other questions for Paul. Paul, on item 4, locality breakdown, East Kilbride M74 in brackets. I mean, I know Camglen, Clydesdale and Hamilton are all adjacent, or the M74 runs through the centre of it, but can you tell me the relevance of East Kilbride? Maybe I'm missing something obvious here, but could you tell me the relevance of East Kilbride and the M74, or the connection?
Hi, sorry, it's purely because it's just the way I presented it, I suppose. It's purely because I put M74 figures in for the other localities that I just put a not applicable for East Kilbride, that's all. It's okay. Probably just mine.
And the Drive on the Left campaign, I think you said 500. That's a kind of round figure. Obviously, it's not well, it might be an exact figure. If it is, it's quite unusual. But so I'm just really approximately 500. Has it been identified that there's tourists who forget what side of the road they're driving on that results in these accidents? I mean, there was a very high-profile case a number of years back where a young man was killed on a motorcycle, and everybody will be aware of that. And it is an issue. And just over the weekend, I was up in the north of Scotland. I was in Skye the weekend, and the amount of foreign vehicles you see was outnumbered any sort of UK-registered vehicles. The amount of foreign vehicles that you can see up there. So it's an issue, and where tourists are attracted, but so is driving on the wrong side of the road really the issue for these accidents?
Well, this is we have I attend a kind of internal Scottish Fire and Rescue meeting, which is from all the LALOs across Scotland, and the ones from that I attend the meeting from Highlands and Islands. Anecdotally, they say that most of these the serious accidents, well, a lot of the serious accidents that they attend are caused by tourists. So for us, you know, we're always glad to get involved in campaigns, etc. So purely for myself, I decided where we're most likely to find tourists in South Lanarkshire, and I thought the best place to target resources would be along the M74 corridor. And so I don't know in terms of South Lanarkshire how common that is, but that is where we did our work regarding that initiative.
Colin, could you maybe touch on this? You see it sometimes, but you don't. One place you obviously see it is if you come off a ferry in Dover. You do notice the signs, but apart from that, I don't see an awful lot of them. Could you elaborate on why there isn't a huge amount of them, and is that reflective of the numbers? Got a big connection there.
Thanks, Chair. In terms of, it's certainly not a trend that we're seeing, you know, on an annual basis, and members will maybe recollect the last paper we brought. I think Colin had prepared it and delivered it. We do a deeper dive into what the trends are, and I think one of the codes probably will be foreign drivers that identifies, but there's nothing really appearing. Okay. I travel up north a lot in Scotland as well, and you do see signs a lot more up north at ferries, etc. as well. So it's certainly if there was a trend, we would look at it. If there was a trend, you know, coming up from England, but people have driven along the motorway for a long distance there, so we don't yet have that as a problem. But again, tackle it if it ever becomes one. Thanks.
As a problem, a previous job I had, when I was driving trucks, I used to drive abroad, and when I was going abroad, I was very, very aware and switched on. And where I found the problem is when I've been driving abroad for like a week or two, when I come back to the UK, on occasions I found myself wanting to drive on the right. It was more of an issue for me when I come back into the UK, because I was so aware when I was abroad I had to drive on the right, and then when I relaxed, when I got back to the UK, I found myself, and then very quickly corrected myself. So it's something that can, you know, it just takes a split second of lack of concentration. So I've seen that firsthand. And obviously the very high profile case, you know, that young man that was killed with the American diplomat who escaped justice. But anyway, that's a separate story. Okay, any other questions? No. Paul, thanks very much for that. I don't have any urgent business. Can I thank you all for your attendance, and I'll see you the next time around. Remember, if you get any questions, if you could just pass them to Stuart, and we'll get that organised to Lorna Hinchelwood, and we'll get responses for you. Thanks very much.